Humans don't give a fuck. When we first made contact with humanity, we were surprised. After all, it's not every day that an interplanetary government screws up so badly that they'd manage to miss an entire new sentient species in our own damn territory. Now, it may have been a rather unimportant, undeveloped expanse of our territory, but with the amount of radio signals the humans were flinging into the void with reckless abandon, left our leaders with no excuse. The answers to that question could wait, but the humans could not. They had already deciphered our language, and were attempting to hail a colony world of ours that they had apparently been observing for about one of their years already. At least the galactic bureaucracy already had protocol for this sort of thing, although it was usually reserved for a primitive species finally discovering FTL, and a 100 light-year sphere around their cradle world was set aside for them. Too bad that roughly 30% of that was Karkan space, but we'll get to that later. Once our diplomats made contact with this new species, we were even more surprised at their appearance and mannerisms. You see, Earth happened to be on the very upper limit of the gravitational spectrum that had been theorized for planets able to develop spacefaring life. Indeed, if their gravity were any higher, then it would have been impossible for their early spaceflight attempts to reach orbit, and they would have likely given up like we'd seen several other species do, unless they were uplifted, but it was rare that any race would take on the responsibility of uplifting such a species. Allow me to further explain for those of you whom have not had the pleasure of meeting with a human. Most high-gravity sapient species are about half the size of humans at their largest, and use their intelligence and large numbers to solve problems as a group, and compete with larger predator species. Now that's not to say the humans were large. Far from it, in fact, as the humans' average height, about 2 of their meters, is just under half of the galactic average height. As such, the humans were rather strong compared to even other high-gravity sapients, and monstrously strong compared to the average galactic species. Furthermore, the humans were rather ungraceful in their movements. After living under such high gravity for all their lives, their motions are quick and efficient, almost mechanical even in comparison with that of the other races. As such, they quickly got a reputation as bumbling strongmen. This reputation wasn't helped by their seemingly endless optimism and unflappability. Well, in every regard but to their past, they were unflappable. It was rather cute, if I'm being perfectly honest, seeing the human diplomats blush and squirm as they described a rather boringly common history of warfare and strife. They were so ashamed of it that it made a few of our diplomats laugh as they described to the increasingly relieved humans that they weren't monsters for fighting a few wars among their people. It also didn't help the stereotypes that humans had a way of using brute force to solve problems. Human engineers even used their percussive maintenance techniques regularly when stationed on ships and stations and, to quote one saying, "The only surprising thing about a human smashing a piece of delicate machinery to fix it is that it actually starts to work once they are done." The more we learned of the humans, the more laughable they seemed to be. They became the butt of many jokes among the members of the bureaucracy. The humans found out, of course, and our government cringed in anticipation for the worst kind of retribution. Part of the reason that there were so many jokes about the humans is that we were all still a bit afraid of the monstrously strong apes. But the humans, to borrow one of their own expressions, the humans didn't give a fuck. They laughed it off and even shared a few jokes they made up at their own expense. Although this experience helped to assuage many of the fears that the species of the bureaucracy had about the humans, several new jokes were made about them. In good faith, I assure you. One of them being that if a species tried to invade human space, then they'd give up their cradle world without a fight. For the next couple of years, the humans were contentedly expanding within their area of buffer space, setting up mining stations, colonies, and trade deals left and right. The humans were natural laborers, it turned out. Galactic average intelligence, which to give the humans credit was nothing to scoff at, combined with their monstrous strength and seemingly endless energy reserves, meant that they could churn out resources and consumer goods like no other species we'd ever seen.